Attention, Canadian travelers, are you planning an overseas adventure in 2024? Well, hold on to your maple syrup, because there are some destinations that may not be rolling out the welcome mat for you. In this eye-opening video, we'll uncover the top 10 countries where Canadians might not be as welcome in 2024. These are countries where Canadians could face serious challenges or restrictions in the year ahead. From arbitrary detentions to volatile security situations, these destinations pose significant risks for our fellow Canucks. But don't worry, we've got all the details you need to make informed decisions and stay safe on your travels. So, get ready to discover the places you might want to avoid in 2024 if you are Canadian. Number 10. Venezuela, a country that has been plagued by political and economic instability in recent years. The Canadian government advises against all non-essential travel to Venezuela due to the high risk of crime, civil unrest, and shortages of basic necessities. In 2023, Venezuela had one of the highest crime rates in the world, with over 16,000 homicides reported. The economic situation remains precarious, with inflation rates exceeding 1,000%. This has led to a severe humanitarian crisis, with over 7 million Venezuelans in need of assistance. Canadians who do venture to Venezuela may face significant challenges and risks. The Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular support, making it crucial for travelers to exercise extreme caution and closely follow travel advisories. Additionally, the political instability and ongoing civil unrest in the country add to the dangers faced by foreign visitors. Number 9. Iraq, a country that continues to grapple with ongoing conflict and instability. The Canadian government advises against all travel to Iraq due to the risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. In 2023, there were over 2,000 security incidents involving foreign nationals in Iraq. The security situation remains volatile, with frequent reports of violence and instability. This has had a significant impact on Iraq's oil production, which has been affected by the ongoing turmoil. Canadians who choose to visit Iraq may face serious risks, and the Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular assistance. It's crucial for travelers to thoroughly research the latest security updates and heed all government travel advisories before even considering a trip to this high-risk destination. The threat of terrorist attacks and the potential for being caught in the crossfire of armed conflict make Iraq an extremely dangerous place for Canadians to visit. Number 8. South Sudan, a country that has experienced ongoing conflict and instabilities since gaining independence in 2011. The Canadian government advises against all travel to South Sudan due to the risk of violence, kidnapping, and armed conflict. In 2023, the conflict in South Sudan resulted in over 4,000 civilian casualties. The humanitarian situation remains dire, with over 7 million people in need of assistance. The conflict has also severely impacted the country's economy, with GDP contracting by over 30% since 2013. Canadians who travel to South Sudan may face significant risks, and the Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular support. It's essential for any would-be travelers to closely monitor the security situation and reconsider their plans if the risks become too high. The lack of stability and the ongoing violence make South Sudan an extremely hazardous destination for Canadians. Number 7. Somalia, a country that continues to pose a high risk for Canadians due to the threat of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. The Canadian government advises Canadians not to travel to Somalia under any circumstances. In 2023, there were over 300 terrorist attacks reported in Somalia, underscoring the significant threat to foreign visitors. Kidnappings of foreign nationals have also been a major concern, with at least 15 such incidents recorded last year. The humanitarian situation in Somalia is also dire, with over 7 million people in need of assistance. The security challenges and limited consular support make it extremely dangerous for Canadians to visit this East African nation. Travelers are strongly advised to heed the Canadian government's warnings and avoid Somalia entirely. The country's status as a global hotspot for terrorism and lawlessness makes it an exceptionally risky destination for Canadians. Number 6. Libya, a country that has been in a state of conflict since 2011. The Canadian government advises against all travel to Libya due to the risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. In 2023, the conflict in Libya resulted in over 2,000 civilian casualties. The security situation remains highly unstable, with frequent reports of violence. This instability has also had a significant impact on Libya's oil production, which has been disrupted by the ongoing turmoil. Canadians who choose to travel to Libya may face serious risks, and the Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular assistance. It's crucial for travelers to thoroughly research the latest security updates and reconsider their plans if the risks become too high. The constant threat of violence and the potential for being caught in the middle of the conflict make Libya an extremely dangerous place for Canadians to visit. Number 5. Yemen. This Middle Eastern nation is another country where Canadians are advised not to travel due to ongoing conflict and instability. In 2023, the humanitarian crisis in Yemen continued to worsen, with over 24 million people in need of assistance. Reports of violence and armed conflict remained high, with over 5,000 incidents recorded throughout the year. The conflict has also severely impacted Yemen's economy, with GDP contracting by over 50% since 2015. Canadians who enter Yemen may face significant risks, including violence, kidnapping, and limited consular support. The Canadian government has strongly advised against all travel to this war-torn country, urging Canadians to reconsider any plans to visit. The combination of the dire humanitarian situation, the ongoing violence, and the lack of reliable consular assistance make Yemen an extremely hazardous destination for Canadian travelers. Number 4. Afghanistan, a country that has become increasingly dangerous for foreign nationals, including Canadians, since the Taliban's takeover in 2021. The Canadian government has advised against all travel to Afghanistan due to the risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. In 2023, there were over 1,500 security incidents involving foreign nationals in the country. The security situation remains highly volatile, and the Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular assistance. Canadians who choose to travel to Afghanistan may face significant risks to their safety and well-being. The Canadian government has strongly urged all Canadians to avoid this high-risk destination and instead reconsider any plans to visit. The ongoing conflict, the threat of terrorist attacks, and the lack of reliable consular support make Afghanistan an extremely perilous place for Canadian travelers. Number 3. Syria, a country that remains a high-risk destination due to the ongoing conflict and instability. The Canadian government has advised against all travel to Syria, and for good reason. In 2023, the conflict in Syria resulted in over 10,000 civilian casualties. Kidnappings of foreign nationals also remained a major concern, with at least 20 incidents reported throughout the year. The humanitarian crisis in Syria is also dire, with over 13 million people in need of assistance. Canadians who travel to Syria may face significant risks, including violence, kidnapping, and limited consular support. The Canadian government has strongly warned against any travel to this war-torn country. The combination of the ongoing violence, the threat of kidnapping, and the lack of reliable consular assistance makes Syria an exceptionally dangerous destination for Canadian travelers. Number 2. Iran, a country that has had strained relations with Western countries, including Canada. The Canadian government has advised against all travel to Iran due to the risk of arbitrary detention and the volatile security situation. In 2023, at least 10 foreign nationals, including 2 Canadians, were detained on charges of espionage. Diplomatic tensions between Canada and Iran have further contributed to the travel advisories. Iran has seen a decline in Western tourists, with fewer than 50,000 visiting in 2023. Canadians who do decide to travel to Iran may face significant risks and challenges, and the Canadian government has very limited ability to provide consular assistance. Travelers are strongly urged to reconsider any plans to visit this high-risk destination. The threat of arbitrary detention and the ongoing political tensions between Canada and Iran make Iran an extremely risky place for Canadians to visit. Number 1. North Korea. This isolated and restrictive country remains one of the most challenging destinations for Canadian travelers. The Canadian government has advised against all travel to North Korea due to the unpredictable security situation and the risk of arbitrary detention. In 2023, there were reports of at least 5 foreign nationals, including 1 Canadian, being detained in the country. North Korea also maintains increased surveillance measures, constantly monitoring foreign visitors. North Korea receives fewer than 5,000 Western tourists annually, underscoring just how restrictive and unwelcoming it is for Canadians and other foreign nationals. Traveling to this high-risk destination could put Canadians in serious jeopardy, with very limited consular support available. The threat of arbitrary detention, the invasive surveillance measures, and the lack of reliable consular assistance make North Korea an exceptionally dangerous and unwelcoming destination for Canadian travelers. So, there you have it, folks, the top 10 countries where Canadians might not be as welcome in 2024. From the arbitrary detentions in North Korea to the volatile security situations in Afghanistan and Syria, these destinations pose significant risks for our fellow Canucks. As Canadian travelers, it's crucial to stay informed, heed government travel advisories, and exercise extreme caution when planning trips abroad. While the world is full of exciting destinations, some may be best avoided, at least for the time being. Remember, your safety and well-being should always be the top priority. So, before you start booking those flights, make sure to do your research and consider the potential challenges you may face. And don't forget to pack your toque and a healthy dose of caution.